Mass protests erupted in Algeria this weekend after the country's president declared that he'd seek a fifth term in office. The demonstrations were Algeria's largest since the Arab Spring protests that ended back in 2012. Here to explain why the public is so outraged over the president's decision is Talking Points analyst Brandon Ross.
183. That's how many people were injured in the protest all over Algeria on Friday. President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has been leading the country for 20 years and has now made it clear he wants to lead for 5 more. Bouteflika's administration is one that has allowed for little political dissent, but for most of his presidency, people have actually been okay with that. He presided over the end of a decade-long civil war with Islamist insurgents in 2002, 3 years into his first term. Though the war came to an end, Bouteflika maintained an emergency rule in the aftermath, and the Algerian people were typically willing to give up some freedoms so long as they were safe. The emergency rule ended in 2011, but the president maintained a ban on street protesting. This came into a head in the Arab Spring protests back in 2012, but the strong state police force was able to crack down on them. Since then, like most of the country's history, politics have been mostly out of the public sphere. People tend to fear the country's security forces, especially since practically all of the country's leaders have been veterans of Algeria's 8-year war for independence with France. Now, Bouteflika suffered a stroke back in 2013, but he was re-elected the next year without much campaigning. He's barely been seen in public since. Many Algerians believe he's too old to continue running the country, and similar to 2014, he had to get approval from Algeria's Constitutional Council on an amendment to allow him to run again. But yesterday, Bouteflika got that approval and publicly announced his run. Since then, the president has received the endorsement of his FLN party and, in turn, a number of other prominent players, so it seems unlikely he'll face a significant challenge.